No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Break It Down with Brian H. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. You know who I am by now, but in case you don't, it's right there on the screen. Make sure you follow me at Brian H. Waters. Now, housekeeping. You know what we got to do. Make sure you're following the Wrestling Realm on all social media platforms. They're right there on your screen. But in case you're in your car or you're in the house listening or at your desk at work, it's at Wrestling Realm, the Realm spelled with a W, at Wrestling Realm on Instagram and Twitter. Follow the Facebook fan page, like it, join the group. Just simply search the Wrestling Realm. And then subscribe down below if you're on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, turn the bell notification on so you know every time that we drop something new. Speaking of dropping something new, the real Dwayne Allen and I just dropped a brand new episode called Has Vince McMahon Lost a Step? So that is something you would definitely want to check out. You'll find out what we think as far as has Vince lost a step or maybe everybody else is tripping. So definitely a great conversation between my brother and I, So make sure you are subscribed and check that show out. Like I said, we're back. We got a couple more shows. I ain't going to tell you what they are. Just stay tuned. That's why you turn on the bell notification so you know when we drop them. So, gotta give a special shout out to my big brother Carlos. Celebrated a birthday. You know what? I would say what birthday it was, but nah, I'll let that up to you. But I will do this. Shameless free plug, free publicity. All publicity is good publicity. Carlos wrote a book last year. Maybe you can see it on your screen. It's called 10 Extraordinary Lessons from an Ordinary Dad. A father's life-saving impact through simple words. So that's my brother. I read it. So it's a great book. Definitely encourage each and everybody to read it. Carlos, I need my book signed. There's no signature in here, so I definitely need my book signed. So let's get into some wrestling talk. Folks, it's this simple. Daniel Bryan, is he not the best wrestler in the world? But we'll more into that later. Seth freaking Rollins, your Universal Champion, has been having some issues lately. Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin has said that Seth can have anybody, he can choose anybody to be the special guest referee in his match with Seth Rollins. So Rollins took the liberty to smash each and everybody who he deemed a suspect. He smashed them in the back with chairs. One of the more interesting was when he got Eric Young. Eric was like, come on, Seth, we go way back. Come on. I told him I was thinking about it, but it's no way. Seth Rollins said, don't worry about it, buddy. I know. You don't trust Seth Rollins when he has a chair in his hand. Ask Roman Reigns. Nonetheless, he hit him. That would continue on SmackDown. So he would pulverize on the B team, go, go, go. So that happened. So, excuse me. So we move on. The main event of Monday Night Raw, Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins. A dream matchup in many cases. Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins, they took on each other. Obviously a non-title match. This could have been a title match. Daniel Bryan is a tag team champion, so maybe it didn't have to be. But, it was an incredible match that a lot of people decided to interfere on. And therefore, you had everybody, chaos everywhere. Once they got that under control, the referees ordered for the match to restart. And we got a great Monday Night Raw main event, a good Monday Night Raw episode. I'll talk about that more, but definitely one of the better ones. Word on the street is the ratings were up as they heading into Stomping Grounds. But nonetheless, it was Seth Rollins hitting the curb stomp. 1, 2, 3, getting a win over Daniel Bryan. But then Baron Corbin would be the last man laughing as he would hit Seth Rollins with a chair and stand over top of him, as maybe that is a sign to come. Will he be the next Universal Champion? You know better. I know better. Whoever goes up on Raw goes down on the pay-per-view. But you never know, right? So, and we move on to SmackDown. We saw the New Day take on, in the main event, because I was out and about, but I did see that the main event was Seth Rollins and Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston victorious over Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, of course, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens will take on Kofi Kingston's New Day brothers. I love seeing this. This is what you have here are Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, two guys who know how to stay relevant. Not in the title picture right now, but Kevin Owens did say that if Kofi Kingston would escape Dolph Ziggler, he was coming back after the title. That's the kind of stuff I like. Letting people know, hey, I got business to take care of, but that title is still my focus. It's still on the mind, So, shout out to my bro, Antonio Banks. He brought up a good point. If you check out, I'm going to give you a quick clip of something we talked about on the Vince McMahon episode. We brought up, is there anybody on the current roster who can kind of have that DX attitude? What is that? The attitude of, we're going to do things the way we want to do them. We're going to kind of step out of the box and say, no, Vince, we're going to go off script. Banks said, keep an eye on Sami Zayn. And I thought about it. There's word that the AEW stuff they said the AEW stuff was taken off of Hulu. I said they say because I didn't see it. I don't really watch Raw on Hulu unless I really miss it. But that was taken off of Hulu, so maybe that wasn't supposed to be said. Last night, or I should say Monday night on Raw, he said that Sami Zayn went out there and, he probably shouldn't have made it known that Kofi Kingston and the New Day weren't a part of this week's wild card. So keep an eye on that. And like I said, I got to give a shout out to Banks. You heard it from him first, folks. So only time will tell. I will say that Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston are doing a great job as champions. I wasn't really excited about Seth Rollins becoming a Universal Champion, but as a babyface champion, he's exceeding my expectations. I think he's doing a lot better than what I thought he was going to be. Obviously, I've gone on record and said his heel run as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion in 2015 was some of the best work that I've seen. A lot of times when guys get that title for the first time, it takes a while to, one, get used to them seeing the belt, and then it takes a while for them to really understand who they are as champion. We saw that with Triple H's first run. We even saw that with Kurt Angle's first run. Now you have guys who, when they get that second reign, they kind of have, they're kind of getting things going. But there are some first-timer champions. You can even make the statement about Bret the Hitman Hart. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. But guys who had successful first runs as champion. Oh, Edge is another one. Edge and Randy Orton. Those are other guys. But guys who had first successful runs. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, Seth Rollins, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. And I'm putting Kofi Kingston in there. So one of the things I like about Kofi, and I look at Dolph Ziggler, right? Dolph Ziggler has kind of been that placeholder. I was looking on WWE.com, and I saw that he was getting ready to face, they had the full match with him and John Cena in a TLC match. And this is when Dolph was still Mr. Money in the Bank, and he finally won. Can't remember, somebody remember. Can't remember if he beat John Cena, but that was a match that kind of put him over the top in my eyes. And that made me say, okay, now I can see this guy's ready to be a world champion. Unfortunately, the injuries happened. But now it seems like he's that placeholder. Like, okay, we need a good match for the champion. Let's throw Dolph in there. We saw that with Dean Ambrose. Good program. Had you thinking, maybe he could beat Ambrose. Nope. Now we see that with Kofi Kingston. So I'm wondering, will he become WWE Champion at Stomping Grounds? I will have to admit, people might not like it, but I wouldn't be disappointed. One, I'm excited that Kofi Kingston's reign has far surpassed my expectations of what I thought it was going to be. And I'm not ready for it to end, but I have to admit, we know it's not going to last forever. So there's rumors that the guy who would take the title from him is one Shane McMahon. I haven't had a chance to really talk about that here. Here's the thing. If it does happen, folks, do not cancel your WWE Network subscription. It's not that serious. One, because you can always go back and watch other stuff if you're not happy with the product where it is right now. But Shane has been going around saying he's the best in the world. And you're like, no, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. But when you really think about it, I shout out my brother Corey from the Wrestling Marks of Excellence. He's one of the best heels. And you're top heel right now, and you don't hear about Shane McMahon talking about the creative stuff. He's an authority figure, but he's not really, because he's coming more right now off as just the boss's son, not as the general manager making that many decisions, not the way he was a couple years ago. So if Shane McMahon was to take it, I'm not going to say I would like it, because I wouldn't, but it would make sense. But we all know that would be just a placeholder for Roman Reigns to get the title. And so with that, I'm going to take a quick break. Got a word from the Realness coming up.
The Wrestling Room presents Realness Reacts, where I, the real Dwayne Allen, will react to a number of different things in the world of professional wrestling. I have something to say all the time anyway, so hey, why not? Exclusively on Instagram.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes!
And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. So, we talked about Shane McMahon, and we talked about him possibly being WWE Champion, being a placeholder. You look at what's going on with him and Roman Reigns right now, right? So first you had Roman and Shane, Shane kind of avenging what Roman did to Vince. Now you have Drew McIntyre in the mix. Now, I got a preview show coming up. It's already been taped, so I'll give you a hint. I don't have Roman winning this Sunday at Stomping Grounds. But what I do think is that this match will set up for a bigger match for Drew McIntyre for the Raw Championship or the Raw Big Belt, but also kind of get Roman, maybe he got to get one more match from Shane, or maybe somehow or another he defeats, and like I said, just listening to Corey, and it really had me thinking. He beats Roman, Shane McMahon beats Kofi Kingston somehow, some way, and then Roman gets the title. I mean, Vince hasn't done that. Vern Gagne used to do it. And you see it on the indies. Promoters, Jeff Jarrett's dad did it, put the title on their sons. So, I mean, why not? We'll see. Yes, it wouldn't be the greatest thing in the world, but you got to admit, Shane's been working, and he's been putting on some really good matches, and he's been consistent. He's been a great heel. This is the Shane McMahon we saw during the Attitude Era, and it's been very annoying. So, we saw on SmackDown how him and The Miz had constantly talked about how The Miz had talked about how he's always hogging up the spotlight. And I was like, wow, they fired on all cylinders today. He was 100% accurate. And that's what the IWC is upset about. But nonetheless, it is what it is. But let's move on. We saw the IKonics. Finally, they got a win. They got a tag team championship match. They defended the tag titles against Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. And they successfully defended them, as Bayley was the one who interfered in the match. Bayley would grab Alexa Bliss. That would leave Nikki Cross by herself. 1, 2, 3. Now we know we got Alexa Bliss and Bayley coming up this Sunday at Stomping Ground. She was on a Moment of Bliss, and the two traded back and forth. And I'm gonna say it, Bayley really didn't keep up with Alexa Bliss, folks. You guys may think so, but Alexa was hitting her. She told her she dressed like she was at Forever 21, and she told her all she wanted to do was imitate her heroes and stand out and get autographs from John Cena. And it was like, whoa, and Bayley's comeback was, well, you were saying stuff that didn't really happen, such as like when they was in NXT, how Bayley wasn't nice to her, but Charlotte Flair was. Look, nonetheless, It was jabs back and forth. It was clean. I can't wait to see what happens. I think that's going to be a good match. I think that Bayley can get a really good match out of Alexa Bliss. We know Alexa Bliss can tell a story in the ring, and obviously Bayley can, but we may see Alexa Bliss have to dig deep and have a better match than what she's been having. Not that she's been having bad matches, but Bayley is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. So, and speaking of tag team wrestling, how about this? We saw the Usos take on Anderson and Gallows. They were successful, of course, but it's always good to see the Good Brothers on TV wrestling. I would definitely like to see them more, but perhaps they'll be in the tag title picture. Yes, the Usos won, but I would like to see Anderson and Gallows get back in the championship picture. Definitely would love to see a triple threat match with them and the Revival. We also saw Viking Raiders. I think they're the Viking Raiders now. They used to be the Viking Experience. War Machine, as the Shark would say. Always gonna call them War Machine. Nonetheless, we saw them in the ring on Monday Night Raw, defeating a couple of jobbers. So I want to see them actually in matches, but nonetheless, we will get. And I saw this, like I said, I taped. You'll see on the tape portion, but it's official. We're getting the Heavy Machinery against. We're getting Heavy Machinery against Daniel Bryan and Rowan. So I'm about to get into the Tapped Out this week.
Here's our Tapped Out segment of the week.
So the Tapped Out this week is, and I'm not having any pictures of it because it's so disrespectful, there was a fan, and I use that term loosely, at a AAA event who inappropriately touched Scarlet Bordeaux. I will not understand why fans don't understand. You pay to cheer and boo. You don't pay to touch the wrestlers. They'll tell you, do not touch them. Even if the lady wrestlers touch you, hug you, don't hug them back. And it's unfortunate this lady was in there performing to the best of her ability, and when she was thrown into the barricade, towards the barricade, the fan reached out, grabbed her, and pulled her back. And if you watch it on first glance, you may have thought it was a part of the show. Thankfully, her opponent had thought quickly and removed her from the situation. So fans need to stop touching the wrestlers. There was a couple of weeks ago, there was an incident with with one of the wrestlers. I believe it was Velvet Sky, and a wrestler got out of hand and said some rude things. At the end of the day, they're people. They are playing a character. Their character is to tick the fans off, and the fans can say things that go back and forth, but you have to understand lines should not be crossed. You are going to mess things up. And I would like to see these companies really and security take a stand and remove these people and ban them for life from these wrestling events if they're going to cross the line. You don't touch the women, you don't touch the men inappropriately, because they're out there trying to provide for their families and do something that they love. They're living their dreams and they're sacrificing their bodies to entertain us. Therefore, it's not fair for people to do that. And speaking of Scarlet Bordeaux, it is official. She has been granted her release from NXT. And she tweeted that she couldn't be more excited just to be a free agent for a while. With that said, promoter, she's looking to fill some dates. She names July 6th and July 19th. Email address, bookscarletbordeaux@yahoo. Free plug. Hashtag independent, hashtag smoke show, hashtag still making wrestling sexy again. So I know a lot of people didn't like, because when we have this women's revolution, and then here she comes and she's doing some of the things they did during the Diva-esque era. I think it's cool. It's an audience for both. And, but it's good to see that she wanted her release. She was granted. Her boyfriend, Killer Cross of Impact, stated, he was on a podcast and he stated that, it's just not enough money for her to take care of her bills and stuff. So that's unfortunate. But, shout out to her for being able to move on and continue her career on the independents. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap things up this week. Oh, no, before I do that, Tony Khan, he was on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. He made it known, that one of the things I like about listening to it, and I haven't finished yet, but you can hear that he's passionate about the wrestling business, which you've heard before, but he also has a mind where he's been, he's been a fan for life. And this sounds like, I always said that if anybody was going to compete with Vince McMahon, you have to love it the way Ted Turner did. Listening to him, listen to how long he's been a fan, how he was able to, name things. It was like listening to one of my friends when we all have a moment in wrestling or in the business as a fan where we can remember what happened and how he was able to recall some of the things with Dustin Rhodes. So I'm excited to see what happens. AEW, it's official, 2-hour time slot on TNT. We don't know what day it is. He won't reveal that or what time it is. But, I'm ready for the ride. I'm ready to see, because I believe this, that if AEW is good, that's going to force the WWE to shift gears. See what I did there? And I'm doing it in a positive way. But that's going to force the WWE to shift gears in a positive light and put on a great product. And if they have a good product and this one has a good product, then if New Japan has a good product, Ring of Honor, MLW, CWF, MCW, all these companies, they have a good product, we as the fans win. And that's all we want. So with that being said, folks, I'm going to wrap this show up. Of course, you know where to find us at Wrestling Wrealm on Instagram, on Twitter. Follow the Facebook fan page. Hit the like button. The Wrestling Wrealm. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. We are there. Subscribe down below on YouTube. Make sure you catching up. Like I said, we talked about the latest episode. Has Vince McMahon lost a step? Well, I didn't go over with creative yet, so I can't reveal to you some of the other episodes. So until the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you get notified every time the Wrestling Wrealm posts new content.